SLucas.me presents. Hello and welcome. I'm Sean from SLucas.me, and in this video I will be talking about 5 Game Boy and Game Boy Color gems. The Game Boy is when I started to discover games again. My parents bought us them for Christmas one year. The main games that I remember are Tetris and Dr. Mario. I played so much Dr. Mario with the link cable against my friend, and that started my lifelong obsession with Tetris. I also played a stupid amount of Super Mario Land to beat that game. I never once thought about the terrible graphics of the game. It gave me many hours of super fun gameplay. But then they released the second one with improved graphics, so somebody must have said something at some point. Back to the point of this video. I actually played one of the games on this list. I don't remember how I obtained Bugs Bunny and Crazy Castle, but I tried my damnedest to beat it. Never accomplished that goal. Thanks to this series, I'm at it again. Number 5, Shantae, 2002. At first, this game reminded me of the old Aladdin side-scroller. Like Bugs Bunny, I played and loved that game as a kid. Unlike Bugs Bunny, I played Aladdin to its conclusion. This game has an interesting history. It was originally planned as a 3D game on PC/PlayStation, and then a Super Nintendo Entertainment System game. It finally found a home on the Game Boy Color. Clever programming for the time allowed them to push the Game Boy Color to its limits. I came with a cost though, 4 megabytes of RAM and battery. RAM on the cartridge made it expensive to produce. It was also a new IP, so it couldn't find a home. Capcom finally came along to produce it, but they shelved it long enough that it overlapped with the Game Boy Advance. Too bad, because the game is so much fun. If you're a fan of platformers, give it a try. Number 4, Cannon Fodder, 1993. A game originally released on the computer and the Atari Jaguar. This is surprisingly ports very well to the Game Boy Color. The little machine never ceases to amaze me with what it can do. Sure, like Shantae, the game got the 4 megabyte and battery backup memory. Even so, the programmers took full advantage of those to bring the best possible experience. The gameplay reminds me of Advance Wars. Yes, I know that Advance Wars came later. However, I played that one before discovering this one. Having been obsessed with that game for a few months, I will give this one some time eventually. Maybe I could do a side-by-side playthrough of the two games. Number 3, Survival Kids, 1999. A surprisingly deep, mobile ARPG that, unlike some other games I played recently, rips off little from The Legend of Zelda. Rather, it introduces some new elements that series of other games borrows from. It starts with you on a beach that you must explore to find some tools and supplies in order to move on to the next part of the game. Starting a game with a puzzle like that is a sure way to hook me. Add in that they gave us resource management and a day-night cycle to increase the strategy involved in the game, and well, you have a game that keeps you, well, me, playing. Also, there are multiple endings, so even after you beat it, you can come back and try again. Number 2, Bugs Bunny and Crazy Castle, 1989. Every once in a while, I come upon a game that I actually played. One year, our parents bought us Game Boys for Christmas. My brother emulated that last year by purchasing handheld gaming systems for me and my sons. Back when I was younger, I somehow got my hands on Bugs Bunny and Crazy Castle. I loved it. As with most puzzle games, it follows the easy to learn and hard, parenthetically, at least for a noob like me, and parenthetical, to master. I still haven't ever made it past the 20th level, so about 25% of the Game Boy version. And yet, even before I played the series, I found the game again and played through a few levels. There's something to be said for adding achievements to these games I used to play as a kid. Number 1, Donkey Kong, 1994. I recently saw a Reddit thread about this game after discussing it with my son. I know the phones, quote unquote, aren't listening, but I also understand the paranoia argument. That notwithstanding, the thread talked about how you start the game thinking that it's just another port. Good graphics, very easy. Then the game shifts. DK grabs your love and runs off behind a locked door. Anyone who plays Mario vs. Donkey Kong recognizes this, because that's how the game proceeds. Instead of rescuing mini Marios, though, you just collect keys in order to advance. Mario vs. Donkey Kong is one of my favorite Game Boy Advance games ever. Imagine my delight when I discovered this game. Then, consider that it's very good. Not as in-depth as Mario vs. Donkey Kong, but a solid effort on the Game Boy.
This time I think I picked a wide range of games. It also illustrates the path to the next generation. Every one of these games maps directly onto a similar Game Boy Advance title. As an old guy gamer, I consider Game Boy Advance to be the pinnacle of handheld gaming. Obviously, Retroid, Steam, and others surpassed that with their handheld PCs. I'd love those systems, but I always come back to those Game Boy Advance standards that I played. When I was younger. I will talk more about that in a couple of months. For now, let me know, did I miss anything? Do you have a favorite gem that I should try from the Game Boy? As always, be good, stay safe, have fun. I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
SLucas.me presents
The joys of recording in your bedroom.